Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, brother. We're going to have a special treat for our audience here. I'm Tim Bass with Heroes Veritas podcast. If you're just joining me, my goal is to give the tools and tactics to men so that they can step into leadership roles in their own life, improve their relationships, their lives, their businesses. And today we're going to have a very special treat. Normally, I do this stuff on my own, but me and Clay have partnered up to start a new segment where we can actually start a conversation where men talk with men. And with that conversation, I've talked about a lot on my podcast of I don't believe in echo chambers. I've talked about it in my newsletters. I talk about it a lot with my clients. Echo chambers are the worst thing you can do for yourself. And so Clay and I partnered up to make sure that we don't do that. And so we're going to have some pretty deep conversations on this segment that we are calling Heroes Purpose. And Clay, I'm going to let you talk about what you do today in your podcast and with your group so that people on my side that don't know you, or even people that may just be finding you, have an opportunity to hear what you do.
Awesome, man. Dude, listen, I'm super excited for this. And right now, dude, I'm literally fucking pumped out of like beyond belief, man. So it's awesome, dude. We talked a little bit before here already. So, dude, it's going to be great. And everybody, welcome. And even my crew. And we got out here. I run Purpose Infused Coaching, which along with that comes the podcast, Purpose Infused Men's Podcast. I also run a Facebook group, Purpose Infused Men. And I run an exclusive Purpose Infused Brotherhood that we have groups that run around or run across all of North America. We meet every single week on Zoom. We talk about the shit that men need to be talking about. You know, we deal with the conversations that we need to have. And it's a brotherhood, you know, and what that means is bringing men together to build, bond, and battle life together. That's what we do. So being able to do that and teaming up with you, knowing you for a while here, and our conversations that we've had together, this is awesome. We're gonna have some really great conversations. And here's what the cool thing is: our viewers are going to get different perspectives. You know, they're going to have your perspective and my perspective. Like we think a lot alike, but there's also things that we think differently. And I think that's the coolest thing about having these conversations that men need to have, is being able to have those different perspectives. I'm going to learn a shit ton from you. I already have. You're going to learn from me. We're going to learn from guests that come on. We're going to learn from the questions that come up because we're having these conversations. So we're going to talk about some awesome topics. Tonight, we're going to really jump into like that man up. You know, what the hell does that mean? We're going to jump into that, but we're going to talk about political stuff. We're going to talk about racism. We're going to talk about societal pressures. We're going to talk about education. As a teacher myself as well, we're going to get into education. We're going to talk about these different things that everybody goes through. Some of the shit that men don't even want to talk about because, you know what? Well, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to have a conversation that might cause conflict. I don't want to have a conversation that might cause, shit. I just totally forgot the word. Uncomfortable. That there, like we just don't. Then we're just like, nah. If I don't talk about it, it doesn't matter. This is the spot. This is the place that we're going to come. We're going to have those conversations. We want to involve both of our communities as well, and our viewers and our listeners, because they're important to us, you know. And everybody on here, I think it's also, guys, if you find value, just pay it forward. That's all we ask. You know what I mean? As we come together here to provide value and questions and things out there, we want to know your thoughts. We want to know what you're doing. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know your questions so that, dude, we can bring them here. We can have those conversations about that stuff. But if you find value, guys, just pay it forward. That's all we ask. So, and here's Veritas. Please let us know, Tim, what that is about. My listeners and viewers, let us know what that is about, because dude, you're doing big ass shit, man. And I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. 100%. And I want to piggyback off of something you said there, which is, you know, pay it forward. And the reason I want to piggyback off of that is because both of you and I, and we've talked about this at length on what got us started. And I'm gonna put you on the spot here in a minute where I talk about like what was that pivot point. But outside of that, I want everybody that's listening to understand that the reason pay it forward is such a critical piece of this is because Clay and I are not in this for, you know, our own personal glory.
Yeah.
Granted, we get a lot of benefit out of connecting with people. We get our own personal journey. We get to impact people at a high level, at a deeper level. We get to grow together. We get to get our battle brothers together that can actually build kingdoms together, which is one of the things that one of the pillars that I sit on with Heroes Veritas. But at the end of the day, we both saw a problem that we needed answered.
Yeah.
We didn't see anybody answering it in the way that we could consume. Not that the answers weren't out there, and not that the people that were doing it wrong, just that the way that we consume content, that was not being done that way. And that's what's so great and unique about what we're doing is, as Clay mentioned, he consumes things and thinks about things differently than I do. And because I respect the hell out of him, he can challenge me. And this is going to come up in our conversation later. He can challenge me and I'm not going to blow him off. I'm going to go, oh shit, like my battle brother over here is telling me I need to get my shit unfucked. Like, let's figure this out. Versus somebody who maybe I don't respect, they tell me something, I just, whatever. So this segment's going to really pivot on, or it's going to be heavily endorsed by each other through that conflict. It's not going to be that echo chamber of like, oh, hey, Clay, you and I think the same, so let's get together and tell everybody that we agree. That's not what we're here for. We're here to challenge each other. And the pay it forward mentality is our goal is to literally shift the world of men.
Yes.
Even if it's just a micro percent, we want to create the North Star to orient men towards so that life and civilization can improve for the world. And so paying it forward is the only way that that's going to happen. And you guys getting involved is the only way that we're going to know if we're hitting the mark or if we're out of pocket.
Absolutely.
And so that, I just wanted to piggyback off that because you said that and it immediately just was like, yeah, pay it forward is 100% the name of the game. And so to answer your other statement of like what I'm doing with Heroes Veritas, and this has been a journey in itself. Heroes Veritas it's about building kings. And it's not about building kings in the way that the hyperbole of kings is meant, right? We're in the world now where like, go get them, king. And like, we hype each other up for the wrong shit and we don't hold their brothers accountable for the good shit. And I saw an area where I was like, you know, I'm talking with these guys and it came out of 2020 and they have no principle. They have no values. They have no construct of how to navigate their own personal hills that they want to die on. So instead of going, no, this is my flag, I'm sticking to it, they seek validation at such a level that they're like, yeah, whatever you want, I'm just going to roll over and take that.
Yeah.
And so Heroes is twofold. So there's the personal coaching side, which is what I do with my one-on-one clients. And I'm currently trying to formulate a group so that people can teach each other. But with my one-on-one clients, I help them get confidence and self-respect. And the way that I do that is I seek the journey that they're on and I walk the path with them a little while.
Yep.
And while we walk, we share and we get vulnerable. We talk about that. And then by the time my job is to work myself out of a job, right? Like by the time we get to the end of that path, there'll be a king at my table that I can rely on to build shit with.
Yep.
And then the other side of that is the piece that's really missing in today's society with instantationalization, with social media, with the digital age, is getting kinetic, doing real shit. And so Heroes Veritas is the actual organizational side of actually organizing events where men can get fully immersive adventures where we simulate high risk situations so that they can answer. And this I totally stole from you and I love it. Is they can answer those two.
Steal away, man. Steal.
I'm feeling like an artist, bro. Like I'm
it's yours now, man. Hey, you use it once. It's somebody else's. You use it twice. It's now yours. So
yeah,
it's yours
and I'm using that motherfucker like it's going out of style. So but the adventures that we do is it gives them the tools and the tactics to answer those two age-old questions that every person, let alone men, have to answer, which is, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Now, I can't tell you what you're going to go through in life. But if I give you enough stuff that develops the confidence in your person, your skill set, your respect, your ability to communicate, your ability to lead, then you don't have to worry about anything after that point forward. All you have to worry about is I've done some crazy shit already. I don't have to worry about nothing else. And so we're gonna encapsulate those into 3, 5, 7, and 10-day fully immersive adventures. And that's what we're gonna help change the landscape of men everywhere. And so those are the two aspects that I focus heavily on. So that's my spiel off my soapbox, so you can talk.
That's good. That's good. And for me too, like I have the brotherhood, but I also do one-on-one coaching as well. And that's the Purpose Revealer program. And what that does is to help men reveal their purpose, because guys, listen, for part of my story, and I'll make it real quick, because I can get long-winded with this because it's my story. But I sat on my couch right over here in my office watching a TV show, having a complete panic attack over a scene in a TV show, and was like, what the fuck is my life doing? Like, what's going wrong here? Like, this isn't what it was supposed to be like. And that was the moment in my life, was like, shit needs to change. And I think men change for two reasons. They change, one, because shit got so bad, the shit hit the fan. You're like, okay, I got to do something. Or there's a carrot or a princess or something out there that's out there so in front that looks so great that you actually move. For me, it was shit hitting the fan. I think that's about 80% of the population of men. When shit hits the fan, that's when we're like, oh, I got to really do something. And I don't think that needs to happen. We don't have to have that in our world. But everybody asks, and I think this is something that is in every person. But again, I focus on men because that's what I am. I'm a man. And so I know and think like that, so I can help men better. But we all want to know why in the hell we're here on this earth. And that's what I help do. I help reveal your purpose, because your purpose is always in you. I don't help you go find it. When people, lots of times they don't understand that when you're looking for your purpose is actually looking for you, and you just got to bring it out. So what I do is I go through the exact same shit that I went through to reveal mine. And that's all I did. I did that for myself. I built myself back up after being in a dark ass place. And people saw that and said, hey, can you help me? And that's all I've done. And I just want people to feel the way I do, is waking up when my feet hit the ground and be like, you know what? I'm grateful that I got this day, that I can go leave it on the field, and I can take this opportunity that I was given for today to do something with my life, instead of living the life I did before, where I was waking up going, fuck, this sucks. Okay, let's just get through the day. I don't want to just get through the day. I want to fucking live. Like, and if today's my last day and this is the last time, because honestly, guys, everybody out here listening to this, I may walk up those steps, fall down, and die. Like, I might not make it past this, but if I'm going to be here today and I'm going to be with you, I'm going to leave it all in the field. My dad taught me that, and that's just kind of what I live by. So that's the other portion that I do. So brotherhood, and also the Purpose Revealer program, and that one-on-one coaching aspect, and revealing that. So I think we got a great mix, man, and we're gonna kick ass. So you want to get into the first topic? You got anything else?
I would just say that I hope you're right, and we don't need those things, but I think you're wrong. I think you do need it. I think you do
need what?
Call to action. You need the call to action. Whether it's a carrot or the shit sandwich, you need the call to action. And the reason for that is because if we never had that call to action, we'd always stagnate.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree.
But what I do believe, and what I do agree with you, is that it doesn't have to be a panic attack on it.
Yeah.
It could be more proactive. We
Yes.
can know that it's something we can seek, and we know that something needs to change before it gets to the culmination of, much like me, I had a mental breakdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I found my purpose, I had a mental breakdown because I was checking the boxes that everybody else wanted me to check, ignoring what my purpose was.
Yes.
And, you and I align on this concept very much of like, your purpose is trying to find you.
Yeah.
What I tell people is like, you've already seen it.
Yeah.
Your perspective and your lens, however, kept you running from it. When what you should have been doing was leaning into it. I have a client, he's always talked about, he networks really well. And I was like, okay, so become the hub. He's like, well, what's that going to do to me? And I was like, dude, understand this. Everything goes through you and everything comes from you. That is the hub. Now lean into that. And everywhere you go, lean into that purpose. He told me yesterday, he's like, dude, I was just chilling. I was at a bar. I was hanging out, was meeting a friend. Guy comes up. He's like, dude, I don't know why, but I need to talk to you. That guy is now seeking to be part of Heroes Veritas. He's like a Marine sniper or something, and he wants to be part of this event. One of our events to go and teach these guys how to check windage, how to stay silent, how to use camouflage. Like, I was like, that's what leaning into your purpose does.
Correct. Yeah.
It opens the door for you to step into that space and have it call your name before you call your name.
Correct.
That guy saw you sitting in your purpose, and it just existed, and then the opportunity presented itself, and now you lean into it. So I agree 100% with you. Purpose exists. We just haven't been trained to see it. And
correct.
That's what I do as a coach. Is I help
absolutely
pull that strength out, put it at the forefront, and then lead from that position from the rest of their life, whatever that looks like. And it may change, right?
Correct.
But I do disagree that you do need the call to action, because otherwise you'll never grow. You'll never grow.
You'll stay stagnant. I mean, that's why I was where I was at. I was just stagnant. And talking about our topic tonight that we're going to talk about, the man up phrase, because that's really where it comes from. You know what I mean? Is in that time. So a lot of people think we talked about this in the brotherhood the other night. Man up. Like, what's that mean to you? No, for me. So I'll go for me first. What does man up mean for me? Growing up, if it came from my dad, it meant like get your shit done. Like, let's go, buck up, get your shit done, bear down, finish the fucking job. Like that's what it meant from my dad. Now it's also been used in a derogatory way. I'm divorced for all of our viewers and listeners out there. I'm divorced twice. So in those divorces, my ex-wives used it as an attacking way as well. Like you weren't man enough for this, or you didn't man up on this, or of being, and basically what it was as a man, a father, and a husband. So it was attacked in that because they felt hurt too, in some of those aspects. So I've seen it both ways where I've seen it as a positive for me, but I've also seen that man up phrase as a negative too, in a way to try to attack as well. So what's your viewpoint of man up? Because I think this is something that we hear like, dude, fucking man up. You know what I mean? Like we hear it all around. We see the movies, stuff like that, all that kind of stuff. What's your take on man up? How's it positive, negative? What do we got?
Both. So the thing that I believe man up is one of the things that we do as a society, especially men, is we're binary, right? Like men are
Yeah.
action oriented. And I remember reading something recently where guys are like thought above feelings and women are like feelings above thought,
Mm-hmm.
or logic above feelings or whatever. And one of the things that always comes to mind when somebody says man up is intent. Not
Yeah.
only intent, but source.
Yeah.
Within my coaching program, within Heroes Veritas, we teach our guys setting the perimeter. It's a filtration system. It's
Mm-hmm.
understanding that not all information that flows to you is meant for you or is aligned with you.
Or it's
And,
good for you.
or it's good, yeah. And what we've become is we have, again, in social media, we have all this influx of
Yeah.
information, right? And we no longer have the filtration of like, yes, this serves me, no, this doesn't serve me. This is from somebody I trust and revere versus this is somebody who's a piece of crap that's trying to steal money from me, right? We don't have
Mm-hmm.
that filtration. And we also have that coupled with a universal morality of like, treat every human as if they're your brother because they're human. And it's like, yeah, I'll humor that on credit, but that doesn't mean that you have access to my inner counsel.
Yeah.
And we lack that filtration system. And so when you talk about man up with me, I can immediately pick up and remember situations and events where it got me going, right? Like when
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Marine Corps, if a dude told me to man up or buck up or nut up or whatever, like he would he would tell me that and I'd be like, oh fuck, I'm fucking up because he was my
Yeah.
keeper. He was my brother's keeper, I was his keeper. That source was a mutual respect. There was a bond
Mm-hmm.
there. He was my battle brother, like we were good. Versus I got into the corporate world and some dude was like, oh dude, stop being a bitch. Man up. And I wanted to sock him in the fucking jaw. And
Yeah.
the reality was the person that was saying man up to me
Yeah.
was beneath me as far as my scale and my perimeter was set.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, you couldn't go through the shit that I've gone through. So if I'm telling you that this shit isn't right, you don't get to fucking say that to me.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of guys have this friction. And this is where I believe the toxic side of that statement comes from.
Yeah.
And so that's one part, right? Like that's one side, I believe, in the man up statement and the difficulties is the nuances of intention and source. And then there's the other side of the combat of nihilism. Because nihilism is because I can never be the best, I just won't try, right? Like I won't
Yeah.
try because I'll never be the strongest, I'm not going to go work out. Because I'm never going to be the fastest, I won't train to run. Because I'll never be the smartest, I'm not going to go to school. Like I don't think like that.
Yeah. No. No.
But when a man tells you to man up, if you do think like that, of course you're going to take it negative
Yeah.
because you're going to take it as an ego attack of like,
Correct.
oh well, I can't, so I'll just
Well, you already have the self doubt.
right.
You have the self doubt. You have the insecurity. You have all the words and the shit that you've already told yourself that you're not good enough. Go back to the two questions for every man: am I good enough, and do I have what it takes? It's a no.
Right.
That's really what you're saying in that situation there. That's really what's occurring.
Yeah. Well, and so here's an interesting perspective. Do you feel that man up changes in its format when you have the answers to those questions?
Yes, Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because well, now wait, hold on a sec. It also depends on the situation or the people, like the
And
situation that you're in and the
yeah,
people who are saying it, or
yeah,
if I'm saying it to somebody else, because that's a term like, we talked about in our brotherhood, and I'm trying to think if I've ever really actually used it that much. I don't think I really have used it. I know it's been used to me in those two different ways, but yeah, I'm going back, and here's where I go. Here's where I go when we have discussions like this, and I love this because, dude, my brain literally goes all over the place. But it goes back in time,
yeah,
back to the past, and to say, hey, where were those situations? Because here's what I found out as I've revealed my purpose. I did that when I was 36 years old. I'm 40 right now, so I've been living with my purpose for 4 years, and the only three things I do to make decisions is I filter it through. Does it help me own my shit, love my story, and live with purpose? If it helps me do those three things, cool. That's why we're here right now. It met
yeah,
those requirements. And so when I look back before those requirements were in place, which allow me to, as a man, as a husband, as a father, and as a good human to society, it allows me to answer, am I good enough and do I have what it takes? Hell yeah to both of them. But prior to that, when I look at man up, dude, I probably in my I don't know. I was the worst, dude. I was the worst critic of myself, man. I beat the shit out of myself. So I probably would have went with it. Even somebody I respected tell me to man up, I probably would have started to beat myself up for it. And then it would have went two ways. One, I would have used it as a force to do something, like that action call. A call to action to do something, or I would have tucked my tail between my legs and pounded in a corner. I would have done one of those two.
so you brought up a really good point because I mentioned, do I respect them or do I not respect them?
Yeah.
Now, for me, the line that you just created with what you just said was, there's you don't matter to me, there's I respect you, and then there's I revere you. And reverence is just I would like to be like you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have very similar checkpoints for me. Like I have my mantra, I post it to my story almost every day, that I created that gives me those checkpoints. But it's effectively, am I leading by example? Is my integrity intact? And am I doing right by people? Like am I
Yeah.
doing a good job with my tribe? Right. So those are my three. And I have a whole mantra that I speak to myself every morning and I close it every night. Now, when you're talking about a rando or somebody what I call outside my perimeter,
Yeah.
they have a different thought process. And I use this with my
Yeah.
clients, like the extreme example of like in your perimeter versus out of your perimeter is like if a cannibal is talking to a non-cannibal, you guys have a fundamental mismatch and therefore you're not
Yeah.
going to agree. And therefore
Yeah,
their
exactly.
opinion on what you're eating doesn't fucking matter. So
Yeah.
that extreme polarization allows people to understand the difference of knowing your perimeter and who matters. So if you're outside, for instance, you're the cannibal, then I don't really give a shit if you tell me it's right to eat people. I'm not
Yeah.
going to believe you.
I'm still gonna eat people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like versus in the middle where it's like I respect you, that means that we've built a bond of trust
Mm-hmm.
through exercising that trust by showing up and having evidence and leading by example, and we built that trust. So when you tell me man up, I'm going to take it to heart and I'm going to decide whether or not I need to make adjustments or
Yeah.
not, or I need to call you on it and be like, don't talk to me like that or whatever, right? Whatever that mutual
Yeah.
respect paradigm looks like. Versus a reverence piece of like for me, there's many men that I look up to because they're at a stage or they're at a place that I see that I want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
So if that person, and I'm actually dealing with that a little bit right now today, like I told you before this call, like this is a perfect conversation because the universe
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're going to give you shit to talk about. And it did. So
That's
like,
good. That's the way it works, man.
yeah. And so like very much like step into your purpose, and it's not easy, right? You still find
No.
chaos points. And today I call a battle day because it was just every time I turned around, there was an issue or there was a thing that really challenged my ego and my purpose. And so when you talk about it from a reverence perspective, like if I meet a guy that I'm like, fuck, this dude is manly as fuck, and I want to echo his example,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, dude, stop being a pussy. I'm going to take that very differently internally because I already am doubting, do I have what it takes in the presence of this person, right? You have these idealized heroes within your space that you look to and you're like, holy shit, I'm not that at that level yet. And then you interact with them and then they have kind of this unique opportunity where they could either embolden you or they could really crush you.
Yeah.
And it's on you to figure out, and it's not their fault. It's on you. Everything's your fucking fault. But like, you have to decide, like, how strong are you in your conviction on, do I have what it takes, and am I good enough?
I was waiting for you to do something, say something, because that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, if you can answer those two questions honestly to yourself, I even though you have that reverence for that person still can't hinder you because you already can answer those two questions. You know, you can have like some doubt, you know, that creeps in, but you can filter it out because you know what, you go back to that. Just like the other week, man, I literally had a brain freeze. Like, I went hard for the first 12 weeks. I got into my second week to 12-week game plan. My second round was into week 2, and all of a sudden my brain was like, fuck you, I ain't working. Like, it just literally shut off. We talked about this the other week, and I'm like nothing was coming. I'm trying to ask a question, and I'm like, dude, there was nothing coming. So I just took a week off, but it goes back to that doubt. But there's that doubt that kind of creeps in, but I go back to those questions. For me to create the environment that I want to create to help literally 100,000 men all across this world, to create groups of 100 groups or 10 groups of brotherhood around the country and in North America. Like, do I have what it takes? Fuck yeah, I have what it takes. Am I good enough? You damn right I'm good enough. Like, I understand that. Seeing that from somebody else, because it comes to two questions. The other thing is, did you put that person on too high of a pedestal? Because there's the other question that comes in, because we can do that. I'm a little different with people like that. I have a reverence for them, but they still don't dictate who I like. They still don't dictate who I am. Like, I don't go that, like, I'm not saying that you did that, but we can put people up too high on a pedestal.
Yeah, 100%. And
did you do that?
No, actually what it was.
Or do you feel that you did that? Or
no, it was actually, it was still within my realm, right? So
okay,
like,
good.
This wasn't actually like them saying something to me. Cause so for instance, Sean Whalen, I recently joined his group because he's the next level of what I'm trying to get to. And he fires me up, and he's no bullshit, and he just tells me whatever. And I'm talking to a guy today, and he basically was, well, you're no Sean Whalen. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, and honestly, you're kind of a bitch. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't want to work with you because you're a fucking douche. Like, pure and simple. Because at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know I'm not a Sean Whalen.
Yep.
Because that dude's been at it for a while, and he's gone through some fucking dark times. Like, so he's cultivated and fine-tuned already. Like, you said 40 now?
Yeah.
You started at 36. I'm 33. I went through a divorce, my mental breakdown at 31. So I've had 2 years to your 4 and 2 years to his 10.
Yeah.
So like, for me, when he said that, I was just like, okay, yeah, no shit. Like, we're on a different path.
Now, is this a potential client?
It was,
or just somebody you were chatting to?
It was somebody, I've had probably 75 calls over the last 2 weeks, because I'm grinding to try and build heroes into the world changer. And this was somebody who reached out, and they're the type of person that wants to sell you something, right? And I was like, all right, cool. Like, you sell me, I'll sell you. Is your will for sale? Because I know mine's not. Like, we'll be good. Yeah. It was a super random conversation, but then he just got really, like, I think I just upset his energy or something. Like, I fucked up his ego, because he just got super fucking mean. And I don't mind. Like, the way that I work is I'll take that later, and I'll go and I'll dissect that. But in that moment, my confidence and my ego, I have a utilitarian ego. So it serves me when I need it fucking most.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it tears me up later, even if I go, like, I get real meticulous, like you said, of like, what can I adjust? But then I put it through that filter of my questions, right? Of my standard. But in that moment, it's like, okay, motherfucker, you think you can go toe to toe to me? I'm the baddest motherfucker on this fucking planet, and there's nothing you can say to me that's going to change that. And that kicks in immediately without me thinking. It's just like, all right, let's go. And that comes from my dad. My dad was like that. He's like, I don't give a shit if you don't walk into a fight willing to lose. And then I went in the Marine Corps, and they just beat that into you. And then I went through hell in my life, and it's just kind of like, I might not be at the level I want to be. I might not be whatever your perspective is. but there's nothing
Correct.
you can say to challenge. But what I was saying about that is like,
and here's what I'm going to say to that too. And I don't apologize for interrupting you, but dude, you were able to, and here's the thing, the ego kicked in. Ego is sometimes good. It goes to the arrogant side when you're a dick. Like that's what you don't want to go to. But when you look at that, what were you able to do? That guy's not going to do and this has happened to me too, but you're not wavering my confidence because why? I have what it takes. I'm good enough and I have what it takes. I already know that, dude. Like, so you can sit here, and say, oh shit.
Don't die. This is the first segment. Come on.
I know we don't. I'm not dying yet. Ain't my day. But no, you can like literally like you were able to answer those two questions. So even when people challenge me and stuff like that, like I'm cool with that. Like you can challenge me and just like, hey, you're not Sean Whalen. No shit. Like I don't like. I'll be out. Like I love Sean Whalen. I don't want to be him. Like. Yeah, I'm not him. I don't want to be him. I'm not you. I'm not anybody. Guess what? I'm fucking Clay Smeltzer. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. I know I own my shit. I love my story. I live with purpose every fucking day. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. If you like it, cool. It's not. But I am a lighthouse. I shine my light out. And if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, I'm cool with that too. You may need it in the end. You may be a dick now, but you may need it sometime down the road. I'm still going to be here for you. Or you may be like, nah, I fucking hate your light my whole life. I'm cool with that too. Because guess what? Ultimately, it's your life and you can go live whatever life you want to.
100%. And that to me, like, is the difference between like reverence, a healthy reverence, which is like, I respect what you're doing and who you are. I don't want to fucking be you. Like, I have no desire to be you. And I see this a lot where guys are like, man, I wish I was Ed Milet. I wish I was Sean. I wish I was Andy Purcell. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the fuck out of those guys and their message.
Yes.
Like, they bring a lot of fire out of me and they build me up.
Yep.
But I have never once in my life looked at another man and thought, man, it would be great if I was him.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that because I have never wanted to be anybody but me. Have I wanted to be better me?
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Every day, every minute of every day, I want to be the best fucking version of me. But I have never wanted to be Clay. I have never wanted to be Andy or Sean or because I'm already the best fucking me that I can be in that moment. And 10 years from now, that guy's going to be a different me. That's going to be better than the guy that I am today. That's the guy I want to be. I don't want to fucking be some other guy. I don't even know his story. I don't know what he goes through. I don't know what his brain is like. I don't know what the fucking hurdles are in his life. He may be successful. He may have money. He may have, charisma on the outside. But for all I know, he's suicidal, depressed, like all this stuff. Like, I don't want to be anybody but me. Correct. And those two questions and kind of pull this full circle because I got on my soapbox and I apologize. I do that.
I know you're good. I love your soapbox, man. That was good.
So like to pull it back to what I was saying is like when you can answer those two questions, they can shake you for the moment, but they can't shake you for the day. Yep. The battle may be lost, but the war will always be yours. And there's a great Sun Tzu quote that says, if you can win the battle with yourself, no enemy can overtake you. And I absolutely love that quote. And it's more true as you get older because 9 times out of 10 in our youth, we defeat ourselves before we even start. Yeah. And as you get older,
more so, I'm going to say 10, like 11 out of 10 times as adults, that's what occurs.
Yeah, because we've been indoctrinated.
And if you do the math on that, I mean, I'm a math teacher. Come on, the ratio is worse. Let's go, people.
And it's one of those things where, like, that's why I posed that question to you of like, if you can answer those two questions, it solidifies the flex. And what I mean by the flex is like, if you look at a skyscraper, it's built to shift in the wind.
Yes, to move. Yeah,
but not to break. If you don't have the foundations of those two questions stable, then it falls apart.
Correct.
You can stabilize those two questions, then you can flex in the moment, you can flex in the chaos, you can flex in the high winds, but you'll never fall apart. Because at the end of the day, when the winds stop, you can go back to your foundations and go, I am what I am. I know who I am. I like who I am. I have what it takes, and I'm good enough.
Absolutely.
And I might not be good enough for that person because I don't give a shit about them, but I'm good enough for me. And I can wake up every morning and I can do that. And one of the things that I have in my closing mantra at the end of the night, which kind of aligns with all of this, is if this should be my final day, well, it's actually, if the stars believe that this is my final day, then I rest easy, for I've held the crown steady.
Yep.
And the whole idea behind that is that principle. Yep. That at the end of the day, when I do my thought audit and I go, hey, what the hell did I do today? And did I align with all these things? If the answer is yes, in any format, then I held my crown steady and my kingdom is still mine. And I can wake up tomorrow knowing that I'm still me. And that's what it's about. And that's this whole man up concept has both positive and negative, but it all starts with you.
Yeah.
How you receive it starts with you.
It all, and I say this all the time, man, it all comes back to you, period. Listen, I teach individuals. Every guy in our brotherhood's somebody different. Like I don't teach, hey, you need to be this and this. And that's where I think you and I are both different than a lot of the other groups that are out there and a lot of other men's coach out there and stuff like that, because they say, no, you got to be this, this, and this, and this. Dude, I ain't going to tell you to be shit. Like, you want to go believe that God's a flying squirrel, go fucking believe it. Just own it. Like, fucking own it. Like, do that. Like,
believe it. Really
yeah.
believe it. Yeah.
Own your shit. And again, my purpose is to own my shit, love my story, live with purpose. That's what I teach other people to do. That's what I want you to do, man. Tim, I want you to own the shit out of your life. I want you to love your story. I'm going to come back to that one because the love your story part was just what you're saying. Each one of us, every single day that we get is another page of our story. It's our job to write it. The problem is with society, we've allowed other people to write on our fucking page. I did for 35 years of my life.
I resonate with that so hard till I was 31.
So I 35, yeah. Yeah, you found it sooner, dude. You found it sooner. And that's the thing, man, doing this, especially, dude, I'm a teacher, man. And especially in the education world, I did everything for everybody else. And guess what I was doing for myself? Fucking nothing. And guess what was happening inside? Nothing. My cup was empty every single day. I was trying to fill it up with other people's ideas, and it ain't going to fucking work. I said no, because it left me on a couch having a panic attack over a TV show, looking at myself going, dude, you like, man up, but calling myself, dude, you're a fucking pussy. Like I'm literally,
you were literally at the end of your rope. You couldn't.
Correct. Yeah.
As much as you want it. And it literally tailspins you further.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. I mean, there was a morning I was brushing my teeth. We're getting ready to go to work. And this was like what, 5, I get up at 5:30. So it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, brushing my teeth. I saw a plane fly across, like, wonder where they're going. Wonder if they're aliens. Shit, we're going to be attacked by aliens. Now I got to go live in a hole. Like, dude, I went to a full panic attack at 6 o'clock in the morning before I got to go to work. I'm like, dude, am I going fucking crazy? But no, I wasn't. What I was doing is I was living a life dependent on other people. I was looking for other people to say, Clay, yeah, you have what it takes and you're good enough. And I wasn't answering those questions myself. And in order to do that, when I talk about purpose, it's what you were talking about is you know exactly who you are. When you know who you are, you don't have to fucking second guess. Listen, my story is my story. I love my wife. I love my kids to death. I will do anything for them. I'll take a bullet for them. You fuck with them, you're going to fuck with me. Like, that's how I roll, but they don't write on my story. They don't write on my page. That's my page to write on. Like, nobody gets to do that. And I allowed too many people to write on my page. I allowed other people to do that, other people to influence that and would change my story. I don't do that anymore. Like, I write my own story. That shit's mine. And if you don't like it, I'm cool with that. That's just the way it is.
100% agree with you. I don't want anybody to write my story. You want the ball in your court. You want the pen in your hand.
It's yours, man.
And we've been taught to hand it over. And you mentioned something that you were
serve everybody else, but not yourself.
Yeah. And you mentioned, like, you seek external validation. You don't validate yourself.
Yeah.
It's like chasing your tail.
Yeah.
But it's not your tail. It's their tail. And you're just running and trying to catch up, and you'll never know where they're going. So you just keep running.
And guess what's right below their tail? Bunch of shit.
Bunch of shit.
Bunch of shit. An asshole.
Definitely.
Bunch of shit.
Yeah. And the thing is, I teach that to a lot of, like, I have some female clients too. Like I said, like, I don't like broadly teaching to anybody but men, because to your point, I'm not going to argue out of ignorance. I know what it takes to be a man, but I also help a lot of women too. And one of the things that is very common and very difficult is the traumas from narcissistic men, narcissistic relationships. And one of the biggest takeaways that I have anecdotally with these men is that very point is they were never initiated into their own manhood by a father figure or role model properly. Yep. And so they're seeking that outside validation. And when they don't get it, there's a part of them that just snaps, and then they need it so bad that they'll do everything to force the chapter to be written their way.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And what ends up happening is, because they weren't initiated, they don't have the temperance to understand how to write that properly. And that's where this man up, the toxic side of this man up comes from. is because they don't know. Like, I know for a fact what my guardrail is on my ego, what my guardrail is on my violence, what my guardrail is on my opinion, what the guardrail is on my truth. And I hate saying that, on truth, not my truth. It's not a perspective. It's fucking on truth. I know what the guardrails are because I've seen how the outer edges look.
Yeah.
If you weren't initiated or you've never experienced those outer edges, you don't have a metric to guide you.
Yeah.
And so when you can't answer those two questions and you have no guardrail and you need that external validation, you go out of your way to subjugate people to your story.
Yeah.
Whereas Clay, his story is his story. He can hand that book to somebody to read, but they don't get a fucking pen.
No. You only get to read it.
You only get to read it. And I'll let you know when there's an edit that needs to be happening. But these specific types of individuals, is they are so attaboy hungry that after a certain point, they're not getting what they need, and they don't have the tool set to rein it in. They start trying to subjugate everybody else into a chapter. They're trying to write other people's stories.
Yep.
Right. And so I teach a lot on temperance in that space. And that's just something that I resonated very heavily with, is that external validation point. That's one thing that I've never had. I had the external validation within my perimeter, right? My wife at the time, divorced now, her family, my family. I was checking society's boxes. Had the house, had the car.
So society was your parameter.
So the overarching general morality was my parameter of what we deem success. Success was my parameter, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whose success is the question that I finally started answering. Whose success? It's not my success.
No, you speak.